Abraham discipled the company. And in the day of battle, he knew that if he sent one legionnaire to you, it was Abraham that was coming. All the endowments, the discernments, the capacities, the wisdom that was upon him by the Spirit of God was upon every minion in that house. We boast about the numbers of Christians in Nigeria. Christians that can do nothing in the face of darkness. What we run as social clubs. The Apostolic Church was not so numerous in terms of number, but they could shift the government in the spirit. Because each one was as strong as David. You must have heard me prophesy. I seek a day where the preacher will not be a star, where he will just be one in the colony, one in the company, that has his own giftings and wirings. That is when true battle formation can be signaled. Then the Lord can give marching orders. Have you read about the Joel chapter 2 to see the sophistication of the marshalling, the strategy that was in the camp of the end time army? You will know this breakthrough thing we did was a fraud. No son of the kingdom rose from it. Abraham did. What did he do? He divided it. We look forward to when Aholiab will become 17. We will tell him, my son, everything you have seen me do is all I know. Go and do likewise. I was going to inspect some buildings there. My son was following. I asked him, why are you here? He said, I came to learn from my father. I said, you used to speak wrongly before, but today. Because by the time he's 17, I will stop doing something. Because we will need to divide Abraham. It is when your disciples have left you that we know whether they have substance. Meanwhile, you need half a government to in the church today, for a man to be released into his destiny, you need half a government to accomplish that. Meanwhile, the glory of the Apostolic Church was when they had the opportunity to send people into their destiny. Because that was how Jesus did for them. He gave them power and authority, and he dispatched them into towns and villages. The height of apostolic ministry is when we can say, Robo, in fact, you have been here for too long. I'm waiting for the day God will reassign you so that I can release you. If all of us are here, how will we reach the world? Don't you think you will be in another nation? Yeah. I told all my pastors, I'm not holding any one of you. If Jesus really commissions you, come, don't hide, come. Me, I will support you. But just be sure Jesus spoke. I cannot be sure for you. I'm burdened by many burdens. I will not have time to. So make sure you are what? If you bring a damsel, I can. Hey, make sure you are sure. Because the work on my hands is much. Even if you bring Jezebel, who will anoint and say, by the law. So make sure you. I come so. Marakoria. Sante Mokonte. Make sure you're sure. Nobody has time. It's end time. Well. He divided what? A time will come where you need to divide yourself. Yes, need to. If God doesn't redeploy them, you yourself will redeploy them, so that they can have the experience of what it takes to bring government to a locality. The Lord will help us. All right, go back to 18. Where's 19 now? No, 18. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine. This is the first time this happened. And I hope you know who Melchizedek is, according to New Testament theology, in the book of Hebrews. This is the shadow of Jesus at work. And the first time we see the shadow of Jesus in the Old Testament, he brought unto Abraham bread and what? And wine. Now it is in this context that we can understand the communion table most accurately. Because what Jesus did on the Last Supper was to give reference, give perspective to what had happened to Abraham, the ancestor of the house of Israel. So the moment Melchizedek shows up, I want to see the salutation of Abraham that Melchizedek came with. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was priest of the Most High God. It took Paul 3.5 years in Arabia for him to discern that Jesus, the priesthood of Jesus in the heavens. It is because of the priesthood of Jesus in the heavens that you can stay in the faith. It's not so much of what you are doing, it's so much of what he's doing. Have you ever heard the scripture that says that he opposes all things by the word of his power? He's the one that keeps you a Christian through his priestly ministry that is ministered from the heavens. Are you aware that is the one that ministers faith into your spirit? Have you ever heard of a kind of faith called the faith of the Son of God? That goes beyond your natural faith. The stabilizing force that keeps the civilization of heaven is what now keeps you in that believing state so that God can pass through that window to perform his good will. This was a salutation to Abraham. And he blessed him and said, "Blessed be Abraham of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and the earth." That was the salutation he brought to Abraham. Blessed be Abraham. You are Abraham of the Most High God. And this Most High God happens to be possessor of what? Of heaven and earth. Why did he need to remind Abraham of that? Why didn't he just say, "Blessed be Abraham of the Most High God"? Why did he add possessor of the heaven and earth? Why? Why did he add? Because previously he had willed the earth to Abraham by the covenant of selection. In thee shall all the families of the earth. I don't have time. It's a huge, it's an ambitious statement. Only Jehovah can make such a statement. In keeping, he willed the earth to him. And he so willed the earth to him that another name for paradise is Abraham's bosom. I can't explain that too. It is only the possessor of heaven and earth that has that power. Blessed be Abraham of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. This was the experience around the bread and wine he brought. And the moment Abraham collected that wine, Abraham was bought. It was no longer Abraham's property. Abraham was no longer Abraham's property. Abraham became Melchizedek's property. And how do I know this? King of Sodom and the other kings whose people were recovered, they were coming from the slime pit. What do they call that thing? Sparogyra pit, where they hid to come and meet Abraham. And in between their coming to where Abraham was, Melchizedek now appeared to Abraham and gave him bread and wine and said, "Blessed be Abraham of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth." And then when the kings, he did that and left. When the kings of Sodom now came and said, "Okay, take the goods and give us the souls." Just like Satan will come and say, "You can take all the prosperity, just make sure everybody goes to hell."